My top 5 surprises in college football from this past weekend. Hello, everyone. This is Mark Rogers, the voice of college football here at SG1 College Football. Please leave your comments below. Let us know what surprised you from this past weekend of college football. Like the video and, of course, subscribe right here at SG1 College Football. All right, my first surprise is not necessarily that Michigan State beat Michigan, but how the Spartans won the game. All right, when Rocky Lombardi was named Michigan State starting quarterback in a three-way battle for the job, I was a bit alarmed and thought, that is not a good sign for Michigan State football. Rocky Lombardi played 16 games for Mark D'Antonio, started 3. He completed 43% of his passes, 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. So for Mel Tucker to name him the starting quarterback didn't necessarily look good. They lose to Rutgers by 2 scores. They ran for 2 yards per carry in that game, so they didn't necessarily have the support for Rocky Lombardi to go into the big house and win a game against the top 15 opponent. So did Rocky Lombardi really look the part to be carrying his team to a win? Well, he did. 17 of 32 is not a great completion percentage, but he hit up Michigan for huge chunk plays downfield. 323 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. So the big surprise in this game was the Michigan State passing game against what were supposed to be superior athletes in the Wolverines' secondary. Ricky White, another surprise here from the Michigan State pass arsenal. A 3-star from Georgia, true freshman, caught all of 1 pass for 5 yards against Rutgers in the opener. 70th rated wide receiver in the country, explodes on the Wolverines. Has the biggest day for a Michigan State wide receiver other than Plaxico Burress in the history of this rivalry. 8 catches for 196 yards and a touchdown, and he made some exceptional plays downfield. The Michigan State wide receivers abused the Michigan defensive backs. So, Michigan State, known for physical football, beats Michigan and their supposed better athletes with the passing game. My number 1 surprise of the weekend, as a 22-point underdog, Michigan State goes to the air to beat Michigan. Surprise number 2 is, let's just think about the improbability of this happening. Maryland lost to Northwestern by 40 points in week 1. Northwestern hadn't beaten a Big Ten team by 40 points since 1970, 50 years ago. Maryland has been a laughingstock in the Big Ten. Other than beating Rutgers in 2019, they lost 8 consecutive Big Ten games by an average of 37 points per game. They lose this game against Northwestern. They can't find the end zone. They lose 43-3. Taulia Tagovailoa, their new starting quarterback, didn't throw for 100 yards and threw 3 interceptions against Northwestern. They come into this game against Minnesota. The Gophers coming off a nice 11-2 season, top 10 finish. Maryland finds themselves down by 17 points in the fourth quarter, so they already lost by 40. They're down by 17. What kind of mindset, psychological approach would this team have at this point? You would think that their confidence would be shot. Nope, they came back and beat Minnesota 45-44 in overtime with Taulia Tagovailoa, he of the 100 yards passing and 3 interceptions the week before, leading a 17-point comeback with 3 consecutive touchdowns as an 18-point underdog, and they win the game 45-44 as an 18-point underdog in the game. So Maryland beating Minnesota in overtime, down by 17 in the fourth quarter. Surprise number 2. All right, our next surprise is not that Alabama beat Mississippi State. And it's not even a surprise that the score was 41-0. What is shocking is the ineptitude of Mike Leach's air raid passing offense for this entire season since week 1. So consider this. Mike Leach's pass offenses at Texas Tech and Washington State led the nation in yards per game year after year after year after year. He comes to the SEC in Mississippi State and takes the conference by storm in week 1. KJ Costello throws for an SEC record 623 yards in Death Valley against the defending national champions, and Mississippi State, as a 2-score underdog, wins the game. And everyone's like, the air raid has taken over the SEC. Look at what Lane Kiffin is doing at Ole Miss. And now, ever since that, Mike Leach's offense has gone dry unlike any other time in his career. Consider this. Alabama not only shut out Mississippi State, but so did Kentucky, shut out Mississippi State's offense. Also, Mississippi State in these 4 games scored one meaningless touchdown that didn't matter against Texas A&M offensively. They had a pick 6 in the game, but one offensive touchdown against the Aggies. A couple scores against Arkansas, but that was a Hogs team that had lost 20 consecutive SEC games. So in these 4 games since the opener, Mississippi State's offense has accounted for 21 points in 4 games, 5 points a game. And more shocking than any of that is the productivity, or the lack thereof, of the Mississippi State quarterbacks. They have thrown 2 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Surprise number 3, the complete embarrassment of the Mississippi State passing offense under Mike Leach. All right, point number 4, in terms of a surprise, I will say more alarming than surprising would be the handling of Kirby Smart and his quarterback situation there at Georgia. All right, Georgia beat Kentucky 14-3. That was 3 or 4 days ago. I think they could still be playing now, and Kentucky would still have 3 points. Georgia's possibly got the best defense in the country, and Kentucky was just not going anywhere in scoring. So Kirby Smart had a win in his back pocket, and it was his opportunity to experiment in one of 2 ways. Either he could have played several quarterbacks. DeJuan Mathis was benched in the second quarter against Arkansas way back in week 1. Bring him back, see what he can do. He was benched after 1 pick, 1 bad half of football. Stetson Bennett replaced him, was a really capable game manager for 3 games against Auburn, Arkansas, and Tennessee before running into the Alabama Crimson Tide in the second half, and he's been pretty bad ever since. All right, I don't know what happened to JT Daniels, the 5-star transfer from USC. He's not been given a chance. He's been medically cleared to play. So either Kirby Smart could have been smart and experimented, made it an audition for the big showdown against Florida, or he could have said Stetson Bennett is the guy, but we've got to work on this passing game. Instead, Kirby Smart took the safe, conservative approach of survive and advance. Let's win 14-3. Let's move on to the next game. They only threw 13 passes. They could have worked on the passing game with Stetson Bennett. No, they threw 13 passes. He threw 2 picks in going 9 of 13. So Kirby Smart missed an opportunity. Not necessarily surprising based on the way he's handled that quarterback role at Georgia, but definitely alarming as the Dogs take on the Gators for the SEC Eastern Division. And finally, my last surprise of the weekend of college football would be take your quarterback going 23 for 28 for 443 yards with 4 touchdown passes and no interceptions. Also, your number 1 running back runs for over 7 yards per carry. The team you're playing has lost 4 consecutive games. They haven't beaten a top 15 ranked team since 2011, 9 years ago. What are your chances of winning this game? Well, if you're North Carolina, I guess you found a way to lose to Virginia. Cavaliers win at 44-41. Now North Carolina needs some serious help, and they've just got to play a whole lot better to reach their hopes of an ACC championship game in Charlotte. This is Mark Rogers, the voice of college football here at SD1 College Football. Please like, comment, share the videos on social media, and subscribe right here, and give us your surprises of the college football weekend down below.